Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to dive deep and explore the hidden genius that's humming away under the hood of pretty much every modern car. It is the secret sauce that makes our engines so smart, so clean, and way more powerful than they used to be. We're going to pull back the curtain on the elegant system that really made it all happen.
I mean, really think about it for a second. When you start up a new car, there's no clunky rumble, no hesitation, just this smooth, quiet hum. You get amazing gas mileage and power the instant you touch the pedal. It's a completely different world from the engines of the past. So, what was the big leap? What changed to get us here?
Well, the answer is actually pretty brilliant. It's a system that, for all intents and purposes, gave the engine its own nervous system. It created a way for the engine to constantly monitor itself and everything happening around it, process all that information in a split second, and then make these incredibly precise adjustments on the fly.
So, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at why this innovation was such a game changer. Then we'll use a really simple analogy to introduce the core parts. You can think of them as the engine's brain, nerves, and muscles. After that, we'll see how they all talk to each other. And finally, we'll weigh the pros and cons of this incredible system.
Okay, so let's get right into why this matters so much. You see, this wasn't just some small, gradual improvement. No, this was a complete reinvention of how an engine is controlled. We moved away from the old, purely mechanical systems, things like carburetors, to a really sophisticated, intelligent electronic one.
And the difference is, well, it's not even a close comparison. Those older mechanical systems were just kind of clumsy. They were inefficient and pumped out a lot of emissions. This modern approach completely flips the script. We get way better fuel efficiency, a huge drop in harmful emissions, and that snappy, responsive power that just makes modern cars so much fun to drive. And these aren't just abstract ideas. They're improvements you can actually feel every single day.
So, how is all of this even possible? It almost sounds like magic, but the concept behind it is actually surprisingly simple. And we're going to use an analogy that I think will make this whole system just click into place for you. Just think about how our own bodies work. To do anything, pick up a glass, walk across a room, you need nerves to feel what's going on, a brain to decide what to do about it, and muscles to actually carry out the action. Well, this engine system works on that exact same simple principle. So with that in mind, let's meet the three key players in this whole operation: the technological versions of the brain, the nerves, and the muscles. First up, we've got the sensors. These are the engine's nervous system. They're like these tiny little reporters scattered all over the place. You've got sensors measuring the air coming in, the engine's exact speed, the temperature, the oxygen and the exhaust, you name it. They're the eyes and ears, and they're feeding a nonstop river of data back to the main control center. And that control center, that's the ECU, or the engine control unit. This is the brain of the whole operation. It's a powerful little computer that takes in all that data from the sensors and, using some really complex programming, makes thousands of calculations every single second to figure out exactly what the engine needs. This is where all the smarts of the system live. And finally, we have the actuators. These are the muscles. They get the electrical commands from the ECU, the brain, and they turn those commands into actual physical actions. We're talking about a fuel injector spraying a perfect mist of fuel, an ignition coil firing a spark plug at the perfect millisecond. They're the parts that are actually doing the work. Okay, so we have our nerves, our brain, and our muscles. Now let's put it all together and see how this system works as one seamless, constantly moving loop. This process is a continuous, ridiculously fast cycle. It all starts with sense, as the sensors gather all that data. That info zips over to the ECU to think and calculate the perfect response. And finally, the ECU sends a command to the actuators to act. And this isn't a slow 1, 2, 3 process. This entire sense, think, act loop is repeating hundreds, if not thousands of times every single second your engine is running. It's incredible. So now that we have a pretty good idea of how it all works, let's zoom back out and take a look at the big picture. Because, like any piece of technology, this powerful system comes with its own set of advantages and, of course, some disadvantages too.
The upsides are just undeniable. Cleaner emissions, which is great for the environment, much better gas mileage, which is great for our wallets, and more power when we need it. But all that sophistication comes with trade-offs. The system is just more complex, which means there are more things that could potentially go wrong. Its precision also makes it kind of sensitive to things like bad fuel. And of course, when a sensor or the ECU itself needs to be replaced, the repairs are going to be more expensive than on an old, simple mechanical engine. So, to wrap it all up, what's the bottom line here? Well, the biggest takeaway is that modern engines really do work like a biological nervous system. The whole show relies on those three key parts: the sensors, the ECU, and the actuators, all working together in perfect harmony. And it's that real time, lightning fast processing that unlocks all those amazing gains in efficiency and power. And while the benefits are huge, it's a system that definitely needs the right kind of care and maintenance to keep it running at its peak.
And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. This elegant principle of sense, think, and act isn't just for car engines. It's really the foundation for so much of the technology we use every day. So what other systems can you think of, maybe in your home or at work, that follow this exact same simple but powerful logic? Something to chew on. Thanks for watching.